Hey everybody, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a video that is probably my most requested video in the almost 2 years I have been on YouTube. I get people ask me, what are your 10 for life? And I have refused to do this video in the past because I didn't think it was possible I could narrow it down to 10. I could probably do 40 for life, 30 for life, 20 for life. I just thought it would be an impossible task. And you know what? I just ripped the band-aid off and I decided, let's just do the 2022 version. I can always change my mind next year. But right now, today, these are the 10 fragrances that I would want to have for the rest of my life. A couple of these will not be a surprise if you have been watching my channel for a while, but I do think I've thrown in a few curveballs. You may not guess a few of these that I have chosen today. And with that, I'm gonna jump right in, and I'm gonna jump right in with an easy one. This was an easy pick. This was one of the first ones I grabbed and put it in the video box. It is a sandalwood forward fragrance, and it's one of my favorite sandalwoods, and it is called Milky Musk. I do not hear a lot of people talk about this fragrance, but I do know that it does have a quiet following. This is a very different type of sandalwood. Most sandalwoods are somewhat sweet. They're a little bit creamy. They're light. This one has a definite chipped wood aspect to the fragrance, a slight pencil shaving, chipped wood, as if the chips of sandalwood were very fresh and were marinating in some sort of cream. So it is very fresh sandalwood, but it's also creamy at the same time. And some people think the creaminess is due to like a fig milk of sorts, because this line or this brand, like a lot of companies, they don't list all of the notes. It does have a freshness to it, so I could definitely believe that some sort of fig or aspect of the fig is in this fragrance, but it's not overwhelming because fig isn't always my favorite note in perfumes. This is a creamy, fresh, woody sandalwood dream, and I cannot get enough of it. I've had this bottle for over 2 years before I started my channel. I absolutely love it, and it just smells like nature. It smells like the outdoors, and that was an easy pick. So that's the first one. The next one had to make the list because this is the fragrance that literally opened my mind to the amazingness of the niche world of perfumery. I had had a couple of niche fragrances here or there. I'd had a bottle of Creed and something else. Oh, I had a L'Artisan, a couple of L'Artisans. But when I got my nose on this one, I was just ready to explore the world of niche perfumery and never look back. And it is L'air du Désert Marocain by Andy Tower. This bottle is empty. I don't know if you can see, it's completely empty. I do have a backup, but it's in its box. There's like 1 drop left. And I'm saving the bottle for sentimental reasons, but this was a fragrance that just blew me away because it was the most beautiful amber I had ever smelled, and one of the prettiest ambers I've ever smelled to this day. It is one of a few masterpieces that I believe that I have in my collection, and it's still a major love for me. If you don't know the backstory, the point of view is, you know, you're on the outskirts of a Moroccan spice market in the middle of the desert at night. So what are some of the aromas that you will be picking up? So it is a very spicy fragrance. This is very spicy and pretty sharp and aromatic in the opening. It has some pretty, I want to say, pungent spices in the beginning, but the magic in this fragrance is the amber dry down, which is stunning, and it has a beautiful woody base to it. So it is a spicy, woody amber. There is rose in here. I know there's florals. Rose is not a prominent note to me, at least. It just is blended in there to add to the utter perfection of this fragrance. It's a very dry fragrance, very dry. It's almost bone dry, and I love dry, spicy, woody fragrances, particularly in the wintertime. This is the time I love to wear this fragrance, and I cannot imagine my collection not having this in it. These are in no particular order, but next up is another beautiful, spicy, woody fragrance. It is Ivory Route. I absolutely adore this. This is a very spicy, peppery, woody fragrance with a really lovely, mild touch of vanilla. So this is what I would call a gateway vanilla for those who like woods and spices. If you don't like your gourmand fragrances, but you do enjoy some deeper, stronger woods and spices, it's so hard to beat. This is my very favorite Xerjoff. I haven't tried all of them, but nothing has come close to my love for Ivory Route. I do pick up a little bit of a green, almost like a camphorous touch right at the beginning, almost a tad mentholy. But I just think this is another masterpiece. This is utter perfection. People love it when I wear it. Even people who tend to like kind of like light floral fragrances, when I wear this to work or when I wear this around other people, they say, wow, you smell so good. It is a surprise how universally appealing this is for such a spicy, woody, kind of a warm fragrance. Adore this one. Okay, this is not going to be a shocker. I'm here to admit that I still love the original Baccarat 540. This is my second bottle, by the way. And my spouse got it for me right when it came out the first time. And this fragrance completely blew me away. There was nothing else like it at the time. And on the rare occasion I smelled it on another person, I just remember thinking how amazing they smelled. But I am very fortunate that where I live, not a lot of people wear this. In fact, I've only smelled it like twice in the community. I do smell occasional dupes. I smell Ariana Grande Cloud, and my daughter's one of them. I bought my daughter Cloud, I want to say for Christmas last year, and she really likes that. And to me, they are very different. There is a similarity, but the sillage in this is just like no other. It is just this magical sillage, this whoosh of amazingness that I found so incredibly beautiful, whereas Cloud is a little bit more, I don't know, coconutty, maybe more vanillic. This has that beautiful ambergris freshness, I guess, in this fragrance, and everybody probably knows what this smells like. I adore it. So I would want a Baccarat 540 or an equivalent. So the equivalent would be Trajan by Electimuss. This is my Baccarat 540 for those who just didn't quite get along with Baccarat 540. It doesn't have that sharp candy coating spun sugar sweetness that Baccarat 540 has. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit fresher. There are some really lovely citruses in the top. It's a little bit smoothed out by some aromatics, but you still get that spun, airy, sweet saffron experience that I love in the original 540. So I would take one of these two. I'm going to call these the same thing. So it would be one of these two would fall into that category for the fourth slot. If I only have 10 fragrances for life, I'm going to need my classy lady fragrance, and I have two of those. The first one is Coromandel. No shocker, the notes in here are patchouli, amber, incense, white chocolate, and fancy lady, classy lady. Those are the notes in here. This is a predominantly patchouli forward fragrance, and to be honest, I wouldn't have been drawn to this fragrance in my 20s or early 30s. I think I've said that before. I did not like patchouli when I was in my 20s at all. And it wasn't until coming out of my 20s and in my early 30s did I start to embrace that note, start to really love it in fragrances. And this is just super classy patchouli, amber, incense fragrance that I adore. And it is just one of those fragrances that I think I'm probably going to want to own for a long time. Sticking with my classy lady, my classy babe theme is Cuir Beluga by Guerlain. Guerlain does one of my favorite vanillas. My other favorite vanilla is done by the house of EBK, but those two houses do vanilla like no other. This is no exception. This is a powdery suede vanilla fragrance. The name Cuir means leather. I get more of a suede, like a light, fluffy, soft suede. The leather in here translates to me as a super soft suede, like a luxury suede. It is nice and has a nice, refreshing, bright opening aldehydes. They're not in your face. Some tangerine, some brighter notes. So it starts off a little bit sparkly, but then it enters into the beautiful, powdery Guerlain vanilla that is sweet, but just not too sweet. It's a very recognizable Guerlain vanilla, and it's not very strong. So this is not a strong fragrance, but it does have presence. and one that my very picky spouse has commented on and said, you smell really pretty. So Cuir Beluga is coming with me. The next one might be where I throw some people for a loop. Now, I love vanilla, I love gourmands, and I love incense. So I wanted to pick a fragrance that kind of did some multitasking. And there is a fragrance that I discovered over the summer thanks to a lovely friend who sent me a beautiful decant that actually has a beautiful vanilla and an incense note. And so that fragrance is Babycat by Yves Saint Laurent. This is a resinous, incensey, leathery vanilla that right now I'm totally obsessed with. This is so good. And I think why I love it so much is because I pick up a lot of smoky incense. I'm a huge incense lover, and the incense note in here is very prominent to me, and it's smoky. So it's like a smoky frankincense. It is very peppery, and I do like pepper in a fragrance. Black pepper, red pepper, and it has saffron. So it just has these beautiful, warm, spicy notes, and I get incense right away. I think incense is technically a middle note. I get it right away, and thankfully I get it pretty much throughout the fragrance until the deep dry down. And the dry down is a sweet, smoky, leathery vanilla. It is delectable. I cannot stop sniffing my arm after I spray this. It is addictive and utterly delectable. This one surprisingly has pretty good sillage and lasting power. I went to the UPS store maybe about 4 or 5 hours after I spritzed this a couple times, like maybe 3 times on my arm, put a jacket on because it's very cold right now, and went to the UPS store, and as I was leaving or checking out, the gentleman said, by the way, you smell freaking amazing, or ridiculously good. It was like freaking amazing or ridiculously good. It was one or the other. I got mine at Selfridges. It was, to me, it was worth the wait and some of the hassle I went to get it. And so for those reasons, I can't imagine me getting tired of it anytime soon. So sticking with the gourmand theme is a fragrance that I adored from the moment I sampled it, but did not buy it because it's very, very fancy, it's expensive, and I felt like plenty of gourmand fragrances, but I got it anyway because I just couldn't help it. It is Minuit et Demi by Fragrance du Bois. This is what I would call a gateway gourmand. Hey, I love all gourmands. I like them sticky, ooey, gooey. I will say this year, I'm reaching more for my woody fragrances than my really sweet fragrances. So I do enjoy that type. This is a gourmand that is not overly gourmandy. It has gorgeous gourmandy notes, but it's not an overwhelming gourmand. And I remember jumping at this because Max Aroma, I'm on their mailing list or their text list when they have flash sales. So they had a 35% off, like 1-day sale on all Fragrance du Bois. And then I had an extra 10% because I had like member points. I order a lot from Max Aroma. So I want to say I got around 40% off this fragrance. I grabbed it and I'm so thrilled I bought it, particularly at that price. So it has some of my favorite notes. It has cardamom, there's coffee, we have caramel, cinnamon, vanilla. I think there's some sort of spirit in here, rum, or I think it is rum. So it sounds pretty sweet and pretty heavy, but it's not. There's also a fun pimento or pimento leaf in here. I just think that this fragrance was done so well. I feel like this fragrance is gorgeous and it is right up my alley and I adore it. And it's a gourmand that I feel like this is a gourmand that I would never get sick of it. So the second to last one might be a surprise because I never talk about it, or I have a little bit of a hesitancy talking about this house now because I think they are a lot more popular than they were ever meant to be. And I want to say they might have gotten a little bit overwhelmed by all of the attention they got on social media. And so I think ordering from them can be difficult for some people. I haven't had any difficulties, but this fragrance I absolutely love, and it is one by EBK that nobody talks about. It's Alexandrite N Patchouli. Oh my goodness golly. I think I talked about it in one other video. Fragrances that my husband loves. Oh my gosh. Okay, I've already said that I'm a huge patchouli fan. So let's just start off by saying this is a patchouli-based fragrance. But it's not just any patchouli. This is like a patchouli that was buried in a gold vault and stored under 500 pounds of gemstones. This is the patchouli like no patchouli. All of the fragrances created by EBK, they all have a backstory. And so this is meant to be a luxury fragrance based on the backstory behind this perfume. So if I can remember correctly, this fragrance was created, or the point of view is about a gentleman in the 19th century in New York who got his big break. You know, he had been struggling, got a great job, I want to say at a bank, got his big break, and then just really kind of made it big in New York. So this is supposed to represent his being catapulted into the world of luxury. EBK is one of those brands that a lot of their creations, I cannot pick out individual notes because these are just blended to perfection. Now I do get a patchouli. It's a heavy patchouli. It is a little bit fresh. So I guessed a lot of the notes and I was wrong on some of them, but I did guess like bergamot or lime because it has this beautiful patchouli. A patchouli made for kings is freshened up with just a little smidgen of citruses, but they're way in the background. They're kind of blended. There is linen and cotton to kind of go along with the point of view because those were luxury materials back then, or they were worn by people who had the means to buy them and launder them. And it has a couple of notes that I'm really glad aren't prominent. And galbanum is one of them. So I'm glad it's not overly prominent in here. And I want to say there's like a floral note, maybe mimosa, something that can be hard for me as well. Don't get it, don't detect it. What I get is a luxury patchouli fragrance that is made for somebody who wants to feel like a boss. I will say that I'm always having to test and wear different fragrances to work. I mean, and I don't work from home. I have to go into work. So if I didn't wear perfumes to work, I wouldn't be able to test half the fragrances I have. So I did wear this to work and I didn't think anybody would really like it, but that's okay. I'm usually in my own office and I have never gotten so many compliments. Compliments from my fragrance friend, the only person that really is into fragrances, and she wears Good Girl Gone Bad, she wears Delina, she wears Chloe. Those are her perfumes. So I'm just going to tell you what her preferences are. She went nuts over this. I made her a decant and she wore it to a party and she said she had never gotten as many compliments. So this is one you have to go light on. I spray it twice or three times. Oh man, like all EBKs, this will last forever, but it smells so good. It's like heaven. Now, again, I wasn't always into patchouli, so if you're not really into patchouli right now, this probably isn't going to be the fragrance for you. But it made the list because this is definitely a top 10 for me. And the last one, I had to go with a freshie. Look, if I had put this list together in the middle of summer, half of these, well, a portion of them would be freshies, but a lot of my freshies are put away and I'm not wearing them right now. I do like a good freshie, and the one freshie I would definitely want to take in witness protection is one I found this summer, and it's by Armani Privé, and this is Vetiver de Rivière. So this is vetiver of the winter, or winter vetiver. And so while we were in Italy, we obviously went perfume shopping. I didn't perfume shop for about 3 days. I got some sort of head cold. And coming out of my little head cold, we went to the Armani boutique in a city called Siena. And I went there to go smell some of their newer releases. I want to say the one in the red bottle, the purple bottle, like magenta, tanzanite, something like that. I can't even think of the names. I went there to smell those and I sampled them. I'm like, they just didn't blow me away. And maybe it was because it was so hot. It was middle of July. It's like 100 degrees. Sniffing away, and we came across this one. It was like, oh my gosh, we've got to get it. And the store manager actually said out of all the fragrances there, it was his favorite and it was his signature scent. This is gorgeous. For a freshie, this is gorgeous. So as a freshie, you know, it has lots of different citruses. I want to say orange, lemon, probably grapefruit. It's just a real citrus bomb, and it has a really nice, I enjoy vetiver in fragrances. If you don't know what vetiver smells like, it's like if you ever see a woven basket, it smells like that. It's like a dry grass. So it has a really lovely vetiver in here, but it also has some nice spices. I want to say cardamom for sure, and pink pepper, which are on the light side, but just give it a little bit of a zest, a little bit of a zing, a little bit of life. The only negative to this is some people can go, like my husband goes totally anosmic to it. I'll smell it on him and he'll swear it's gone. I can still smell it on him. So I just adore this for a real refreshing fragrance. Had to have a freshie on the list. This one right now is pretty close to the top. The other one in the running was called Mediterraneo by Carthusia. So that was also in the running. That one is a lot lighter, but a beautiful freshie nevertheless. So that was it. My 10 for life, at least this year in the year 2022. 10 fragrances I wouldn't want to be without in the foreseeable future. Tell me in the comment section below how many you guessed correctly and how many curveballs I threw in this list. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by, and if you like my content, if you like this video, I wouldn't mind a nice big thumbs up. I've had a wonderful time in my almost 2 years on YouTube, and hitting 10,000 subscribers is something I never thought I would do. So thank you so much to you all for supporting me, and I'll see you on the next one.